This video is very important. Before I begin, remember in their own Bible, which in a sense is a sort of history book, at times at least, they say that in order to obey God, you must be persecuted. In Hebrews, it says, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. Keep that in mind. So the West testified against itself in its most sacred writings that it is an unfair place, in the planet in general, and that if you do what is right, the way, the truth, the life, you will be persecuted. And it says the rich are deluded in Proverbs, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's look at this system. When we look at Russia, we see poverty and crime go hand in hand. Okay, we look at France or Germany or the UK, same thing. So one thing we see consistent, right? South America, Africa, Middle East, poverty and crime tend to go hand in hand, especially when you have development going on, right? If you have ghettos, right? They don't live in huts, they live in buildings. We see that that's what happens. They kind of adjust to the kind of globalist Western culture, best embodied by Western culture, urban culture, okay? And they turn into criminals. And quite often there's organized crime, and they have connection with the government and so on, and it helps them continue their racket. So why in America do we see poor people, especially minorities, blacks and Hispanics, committing crimes at high rates? Well, one thing that's different is we have a more potent entertainment industry that glorifies being a criminal. But the problem is very simple. The problem is Western culture. It is Western culture to have a laughable economic system, okay, which creates the poverty, which creates the crime. It is Western culture to deny people like me, they're changing my voice and my image in my videos, to deny me a platform to prevent the rise of a black messiah. That's what COINTELPRO was about. The government on record, not too long ago, and some people who are still alive's lifetime. Okay, my dad was alive when this was going on. Okay, on record, okay, went out of the way to prevent the rise of a black messiah who could lead the black community into morality and not into Western culture and subjugation, okay, and being subordinated and being marginalized and being disenfranchised, but could lead them into equality, could lead them into a decent lifestyle, to lead them to be into equality, could lead them into be treating fairly and to be respected. They didn't want that. These are the people who said, stay away from the white girls. They segregated. They said, if you're going to integrate, you're going to send us your hot chicks to be our secretaries, our porn stars, our strippers, okay? To be the women we have an affair with, okay? Even the word house is ho-use. How do you poor people get a house? You whore yourself to the deities of the West, Zeus, Apollo, and assorted filth like that. You see their secret societies, and their Greek societies, the Greek fraternities are Greek societies, and secret societies are Greek societies, and everyone knows that these things exist to maintain the status quo, to maintain the governing class lines, to make weirdos feel like they are greater than profound heroes, and for sexual control. All cultures that reinforce Western culture reinforce Western social control, and they reinforce the disenfranchisement of the poor, especially minorities. So they prevented the rise of a black messiah. Their culture reinforces keeping black people down, okay? And the people in charge created this unfair economic system, which is the determinant in creating crime. When you create poverty, you create crime. When you create poverty and resentment and deny racism, you create passionate crime. What can they say? These fools want you to believe that it's getting better. Oh, just kick back. Let 9 million people starve to death every year. They're disproportionately colored people, and that's getting better. 9 million people starving to death because of scientific racism to the right wing, and those who deny that critical race theory should be discussed, which is being critical of what's going on, being critical of the status quo's arguments about racism. They think that shouldn't be discussed. There is no one theory. It's my version of what's going on is another version of critical race theory. Okay? They say, hey, you can't put it together logically. You have to have the quote-unquote experts, which historically fail. We've done it your way historically. That's why we had the Jim Crow laws. That's why we had slavery, because they were doing it your way. Your experts are fucking sickos. Monsters. They starve 3 million children to death every year and 9 million people. Okay, what don't you get? You fucking cowards. For once in your fucking culture's history, do something right and stop persecuting me.